Since 1963, the V12, more than anything else, has defined Lamborghini. That engine has been the power, the soundtrack, the emotion, the soul of their greatest cars. But what will happen when Lamborghini goes electric? Well, it's time to find out. This is Revuelto. Subscribe to see the first drives of New Zealand's newest and best cars driven on New Zealand roads in New Zealand conditions. When Lamborghini talked about going hybrid, it must have sounded like the end of days for some, especially for the car that replaces the flagship Aventador. A car that was not just easier to pronounce, but for more than a decade it has shunned modern trends like turbocharging and even cup holders. Well, good news, the Revuelto has cup holders. And better news, there is no turbocharger, nothing to get in the way of the sonic beauty of that V12, which revs to, wait for it, well over 9,000 RPM. More on the go later. Let's focus on the show. After all, this is a Lamborghini. I'm going to go out on a limb here. The Revuelto is almost as pretty as the Miura. I also reckon it's almost as stunning as the Countach. Man, oh man, the more I look at this car, the more I fall in love. I'm 5 years old again. That is the magic of a Lamborghini. The exposed engine, that lit bullhead that appears under braking, the curve of those front arches, the lightning bolt air intakes, the slice of the rear pillars, and the rear wing. Yeah, I think I'd be quite happy just to keep staring at this thing. Who am I kidding? Thanks for cutting out the bit where I hopped in the car. I wasn't that graceful. But you know, shutting that door, it gives me the same sort of feeling you get when you're in a roller coaster and the bar comes down, you're about to start that ride. It really does feel that thrilling. Except you know what? Very few roller coasters in the world deliver the same sort of thrill that this car does. For the record, 0 to 100 is taken care of in 2.5 seconds. Top speed, 350. Now, a lot of that performance is courtesy of 814 brake horsepower from the V12. But not all of it. I'm going to show you now one of the Revuelto's party tricks. We'll go back to city mode. Now with fully electric, the car is being powered by the two electric motors on the front wheels, which means right now I'm driving Lamborghini's first front-wheel drive vehicle. Mind blowing. And there is a third electric motor between the engine and the gearbox. It's there to smooth out torque delivery. It also takes care of reverse. Yes, all 8 of the gearbox speeds are forward, and it's now a dual clutch unit. So it's faster, but also a lot smoother than the Aventador's single clutch, which, fair to say, can be rather uncouth. Back to the electrics, and they aren't just there to give a few Ks of emission-free running and smooth things out. They're there to complement the V12 with an added 187 horsepower. Yes, that equals 1,001 brake horsepower, 1062 Newton meters. You know, I say that rather matter-of-factly, but you know, that's the sort of power that well, usually only Formula One drivers get to play with. I should be scared. But here's the thing, or at least how I'm driving today, the Revuelto isn't remotely scary. And you know, when you turn it back into Strata, or even the city mode, which makes it EV, this car is actually ridiculously easy to drive. Dare I say it, even on a fairly bumpy back road like this. It's comfortable. A car like this shouldn't be this easy. Tradition says that a supercar should be a handful. And I suppose on the edge it would be, but not like this. This is a user-friendly 1,001 horsepower supercar. But for all that friendliness, nothing feels compromised. Look, it is super low too and extra wide, but all you need to do is factor in the dimensions. And speaking of dimensions, there's more room inside than Aventador. The layout is better, displays are sharper, the steering wheel is, well, it's awesome. You can mix and match drive modes, active suspension, and EV modes. If I'm to be completely honest, the interior feels a lot more techy than the drivetrain, even though arguably it's not. The reason for that is that unless you're in the EV mode, you very quickly forget that this is a hybrid. It feels like a naturally aspirated V12. And that's really the magic of what this car achieves. Whereas in truth, the car is working overtime to make it seem that easy. That battery right in between me here is actually quite small, 3.7 kilowatt hours, so it's constantly being juiced up by regen or by the V12. But all that hard work's going on, all the extra torque it sends to the front wheels to vector you around the corners is happening invisibly. You don't notice it. You just get all the enjoyment. Yeah, now and then you can hear some noises behind you. You can hear the electric motor in between the engine and gearbox working. But you really have to listen for it. It's just completely seamless. So is the packaging. The battery is located between the seats in the place of a drive shaft. Also, the engine layout's been changed. It's been turned 180 degrees. That means the gearbox is now behind the V12. Look, basically, it fits better and helps make the rear of this car look, well, gorgeous. Those electric motors up front are something of a revelation. All the torque you get pulling you out of corners, the torque vectoring I mentioned earlier is just perfect. And of course, there's the bonus of being able to go all electric. It's a small bonus. The range, the best range you'll get in the best conditions, just 13 kilometres. So more numbers, the carbon tub is 10% lighter, but 25% stiffer than the Aventadors. The body is also 61% more slippery, but at the same time has 66% more downforce. I guess the most important number is 30, as in 30% more powerful than the Aventador. That is a gigantic leap. And what it is, along with the whole visceral feeling of this car, is that Lamborghini, by going electric, they haven't subdued or muffled their V12. They've just made it better. So much better. Cars like this are all about emotions. That's just not a marketing line, it's a fact. You don't need $1 million Lamborghini, but by golly, you desire it. From the way it looks, the way it sounds, and the way it moves, Revuelto is all about evoking emotions. You know, if you were to tell someone you just bought a plug-in hybrid, before you even got to say Lamborghini, I can guarantee you they're picturing the last Uber they got a ride in. But you know, that said, Uber, before the ride sharing, actually meant the best or greatest. So technically, this is the Uber Lamborghini. But Revuelto is better than that. It's a sorcerer on wheels. It mixes the thunder of that V12 with the lightning of the electrics. And what you get is the perfect storm.